Hey everyone, my name's Anthony Cofrancesco from brainyflights.com, and today I'm going to talk about the important distinction between credit cards and debit cards. Now, this is maybe basic information for some people, but other people I think are going to find this to be quite helpful and quite insightful. Now, there's a couple of really big differences between credit cards and debit cards, right? Just from a fundamental level, a debit card is going to be based on the amount of money that you actually have currently in your checking account, right? So if I have a checking account and I have $1,000 in there, I can only go out and use my debit card to spend $1,000, right? Every time I swipe that card, it'll just deduct money from my checking account in a very simple way, just as if you were using cash. A credit card is a little bit different in that you have a credit limit, right? So in the exact same situation, you could have a credit limit of $1,000, and then every time you swipe the card, you'll be increasing the balance on your card, and then at the end of the month, so at the end of a 30-day period, it'll say, okay, you owe us $250, and then you actually go and pay your bill. Now, from a pretty fundamental level, you can see that the difference is with a debit card, you're paying for everything up front, and you're paying for everything instantly. It's the same as handing someone cash. But with a credit card, you're delaying having to actually pay that bill until the end of the month. The other really important difference is, depending on what your credit limit is, you have the ability to spend more money than you actually have, right? With my debit card, if I only have $1,000 in my bank account, it doesn't matter how hard I try, I'm not going to be able to go out and buy something that costs $1,500. The money will just run out. Versus with a credit card, you can go and you can say if you have a $5,000 limit, it doesn't necessarily matter so much if you actually physically have that money in your bank account. Now, this can be a little bit tricky for some people because they see, oh, well, I have a $5,000 credit line, I'm going to go and spend all $5,000 of that. And the reason that you really don't want to do that, the reason that you want to stay away from spending any more than you have, is because credit card interest rates are very high. I have some credit cards that have interest rates that are 25%. 25% every year that I'm going to have to pay back in addition to the money that I borrowed, right? So just something to keep in mind. My recommendation, right? You'll see this in big bold letters on the screen because it's important. Don't spend more money than you currently have the actual cash to pay back at the end of the month. Just don't do it. Don't get into the habit of doing it. You're going to kick yourself later down the road because it's a very, very expensive habit to get into. Now that being said, let's talk about some of the fun parts between the differences of credit cards and debit cards. So right off the bat, credit cards allow you to earn points and miles. They allow you to actually accumulate rewards. Now, there are some debit cards that allow you to do this, right? But it's very limited, right? It's not going to be anywhere close to what you can get with credit cards. Even at a baseline level, I'm earning at least 1% cash back on credit cards. Meanwhile, the best debit card you're going to get is going to be nowhere close to giving you 1% cash back. So the difference between using either a cash or a debit card over the course of your life, right, just based on normal spending patterns, you might think, oh, well, how much am I actually going to earn in credit card reward points? And here's how much you're going to earn. Over the course of your entire life, it's going to be about $60,000 that it's going to add up to. Just at a base rate of getting 1% cash back over the course of your life, you're going to have up to about $60,000. That's what it's going to add up to over the course of your life. So I don't know about you, but me personally, if I would be at the end of my life and I'd look back and say, oh, I could have had $60,000 to go and spend on either different products or different travel or different experiences, and either I could have that $60,000 or I couldn't, right? Obviously, I'm going to want to have that $60,000. So something really important to keep in mind, and that's just with the 1% of getting a 1% cash back. In my course, The Complete Guide to Travel Hacking, I teach ways that are going to get you much more than 1%. We're talking about 5 up to 15% that's going to be return value just from using a credit card. The other really big benefit, is going to be with the protections. So with a debit card, you'll probably see things that say you have no liability on fraudulent charges, right? So if someone steals your debit card and they go and spend $500 on it, you're not going to be liable. And that's true. And the exact same thing is true for a credit card. The difference, though, is that the process of actually getting fraudulent charges refunded on a debit card takes much longer. And the reason why is because they actually have to investigate what happened, and then they have to actually go get the money that's been stolen and physically put it back into your bank account. For a lot of different reasons, that's very complicated. It takes a very long time. Sometimes it can take weeks or even months before you see that money actually make its way back into your checking account. The difference is on a credit card, when you say, there's been fraudulent charges on my account, you call them and then instantly they're just removed, they're taken off. One time I had someone, when I was still in college, someone broke into my apartment, they stole 7 of my credit cards, and they accumulated almost $13,000 in charges on them. I wasn't worried for a second because I just got on the phone, right? And literally in about a minute and a half, all of those charges were completely taken off. Just like that, no questions asked. And then they do their research on the back end, and then they verify that they were actually fraudulent charges, and you just don't have to worry about it. So those are some of the really big differences between credit cards and debit cards. In addition to just wanting to build your credit score, which is a very important thing to do, I would highly recommend, if you haven't started at least researching and looking into credit cards, I would highly recommend doing so. There's a lot of very helpful information and a lot of helpful resources out there. It's not as scary as you might think. Ever since the Credit Card Act that happened in 2001, credit card companies have to be very transparent and very honest with you about what the risks and how the cards work and what the fees are. So it's pretty easy to navigate, and I have a lot of helpful videos on my channel and then also in my travel hacking course, The Complete Guide to Travel Hacking. So if you found that video helpful, please give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions at all, feel free to comment down below, and then also subscribe to the channel for more helpful videos into the future. Thanks so much. Have an awesome day.